Good evening, folks. How you doing? Thanks for looking in. First thing you might notice is my DIY haircut, lockdown haircut. Initially, I was just kind of giving it a mohican for a bit of fun, and then I actually had to keep it for a while because my battery on my clippers went dead on me. So it's a rechargeable clippers, and it went dead, and so I kind of was left waiting, and I thought I'll just leave it for fun. So I've got a slight mohawk haircut, but I might keep it. But it's either skinhead or this at the minute. And there was the added problem that I took off you've got various fittings that you can stick on for lengths. So it's like a shoe you put on, and you can make it quite long to fit you can. Number one, it's proper skinhead. I took it off. It gets clogged with hair. I took it off to clean it, and forgot to put it on, and so I actually did a big strip up the back, and I was forced to go for quite a severe haircut. So here it is. It's I've never quite had it like this, but I did it myself. So there you go. I'm quite pleased with it, but a few folk thought I was looking like Ragnar Lothbrok for Vikings. Who knows? Anyway, I'll keep it for a wee while, but there you go. So moving on, I'm going to do a workshop on tunes from the northeast of Scotland tonight. Certainly the first one, The Slow Air, is Will Kent. It's Macpherson's Rant, and if the story is right, it was composed by James Macpherson the night before his execution on the 16th of November 1700. So he was a real man. The documents for his trial exist, so he's definitely a person that was in existence. He's thought to have been for a bit of mixed stock. His father was a lesser Macpherson chief. Good to imagine Scotland at that time quite different for at the moment. So he was born in the late 1600s, so you've got clan battles. They're still sort of going on to some extent. The Battle of Killiecrankie had happened about 10 years earlier, so Scotland's very different from how it is now. So his father being a Macpherson chieftain, he had a bit of clout with that, but also his mother came from travelling people, travelling tinsmiths or tinkers, but travellers, and these were often referred to as Egyptians or gypsies. But they weren't that. They were clansmen that had possibly couldn't pay their rent and had been thrown off their land, and they'd taken to the road to make a living that way. So he had a bit of a mixed background, but he became a bit of a rogue. His father died when he was quite young. He was brought up by his mother's folk, and he grew into be quite a strapping, fit, handsome guy, apparently. His sword, which has disappeared, but for many years was held in Duff House. It was supposedly as big that a typical man couldn't actually carry it. It was too heavy. There was a sale at the house, and it seems to have gotten lost. Nobody that I've ever asked has been able to tell me how far that sword went. So there you go. So James Macpherson, lively character, freebooter, cattle lifter, despised by the landed gentry, but loved by the kind of common clansmen and poorer folk, because he would never see a friend thrown out of their property. He would provide money, which he'd probably stolen for somebody else. So he was a little bit of a Rob Roy, Robin Hood type of character was James Macpherson, and the story goes he played the fiddle, and eventually he was captured in the Moray town, or the Banffshire town as it was at the time. Banffshire was the county at that time. And he was captured leaving a lady's premises. She threw a blanket over his head as he was leaving, and a press gun kind of got hold of him, and he was whisked off to Banff into the toll booth, where he was sentenced to hang. Public hanging at that time, and he was hung on the 16th of November 1700. He wasn't disliked by Abdi. There was a reprieve came for him. When knowledge of this got to the sheriff of Banffshire, he decided this needed to be held up, and on the day of his execution the town clock was put forward by 1/4 of an hour. and he was hung early. So there you go, poor old Macpherson. Now, you've got the town of Banff on one side of the Devon, at the mouth of the River Devon. The other side is Macduff. And the Macduff folk were so incensed by what the folk at Banff had done that when they built their own clock tower, they left the face that looked across the Devon at Banff, they left it without a clock because they were so so annoyed at what they'd done. So there you go. So this is Macpherson's rant, which he supposedly wrote the night before his execution. The tune was actually a popular folk song in the northeast of Scotland when Robert Burns did his tour of the Highlands, and he collected the folk song, and in his own words he improved it. So he added verses and improved existing ones. So but there's no reason to believe that this wasn't the tune that Macpherson wrote the night before his execution. And he also played it on the gallows, apparently. Offered the fiddle to the crowd, nobody would accept it, so he smashed the fiddle across his knee, swearing that nobody would ever play her again. And apparently he jumped to his own death, so that the executioner couldn't say, I'm the man that killed James Macpherson. So this is a tune that supposedly was played. Now it can be played as a march. Supposedly this was played on the scaffold. It's supposed to be played with defiance, is sometimes how you hear it put. And I think the tradition amongst fiddlers is to play it as more an air, but defiantly. But you hear it as a march, kind of more up tempo. So I'm going to play it as I play it, which is different for this set, and then we'll come back to that and go through the tune. So there you go, poor old Macpherson is swinging through the gallows now. It's one of these tunes, I just love, part of the reason I love it is because it's got a great story, and it paints a picture really playing the tune. I can sort of put myself in the position. How I play it is quite different to how it's notated. When I posted the music, it's quite different. Now, I'm not sure whether what I'm playing is an amalgamation of different settings I've seen and that's how I play it now, or whether part of it is just completely my own flight of fancy, but it seems to be pretty close. But I think it's a mixture of several versions. But the first thing you'll notice if you're a fiddle player that was looking at the music is that for much of that tune I'm playing drones. Oh, hello, Danny Christie says, fit like. I'm nae bad. Danny, how are you? Fit like yourself. I'll carry on with my serious points here. There's a lot of drones. In some of the older music, you see this droning effect goes right through the first half. So there's a few bits that I've marked in fourth fingers for the fiddle players out there. That's so you can keep it all on the same string for longer rather than crossing up. So this first bar... You can play that on one string rather than... Makes it a little bit clunky. You want kind of smoothness, and one of the little shortcuts that make the music more successful are definitely a good thing. It does mean you've got to use your fourth finger. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play it as it is notated and explain a few bits and pieces. There's lots of things like grace notes. I'll never worry about that. We're getting into kind of complicated things. We'll never get on to another tune if we do that. But right through the first two lines, and I will be playing, if it's written here, two strings at all times. So there's always a drone. So it's very reminiscent to the pipes in that respect. So, and for some folk, I definitely find that's a tricky thing, trying to balance the bow. You get this constant, perfect balance where you're playing two strings at the same time. And you have to be careful that the balance is such that the melody is always dominant. You don't want the harmony note to be overpowering, and especially when the heavier G string is being played, it's quite easy if you're not careful for that to be louder than the melody. So try and make sure the melody is always coming through. That's absolutely crucial. Regardless of what music you're playing, you want the tune to be at the forefront. So bow control, as usual, is crucial. So nice big bows here. Leading notes. You can see I'm using the Hale bow there, so try and let it glide, let the notes sing out. Okay, so we'll try this. First two lines for a start, and I want a drone on every single note. When I go up to the A string, I drone on the D string, open D. When I'm on the D string, I drone on the G string. Okay, so the first two lines. Okay, so it certainly adds something. To me, it certainly gives it a kind of very old feel. It's an old tune, 1700, and I ken older tunes. I ken a lot of tunes of the 1700s, but dating for 1700, that's one of the older tunes that I play, and it's a very famous tune for the northeast of Scotland. So we'll carry on again, and I'm going to play that two lines, and then we'll take a look at the second half. Second half. Drone. Drone there as well. And there. Right back to beginning. Last time. McPherson is no more. So a few folk looking in there. It kind of flitters up and down. Sometimes there's nearly 30, sometimes I had lowest. It went down to 9 one night. So folk look in and drop out again. But if you're looking in, you may be wondering about what the hell's happened to my hair. That's a DIY lockdown haircut. I did it myself. And initially I was kind of doing it for a bit of fun. I'm going to leave it into a kind of mohawk. And I come through the living room to let them see. And I went back and the battery on my clippers went dead. And so I was kind of stuck with it until I got it charged. But I've tidied it up and I'm going to leave it for a wee while. The other issue was that I took the sock thing, the shoe off to clean it. That's what allows you to set different lengths of shortness. And I took it off and I forgot to put it back in, and I took a great big, let's say, a reverse Mohican up the back of my head. So, yeah, so I kind of had to go with short hair. But anyway, it is what it is. Exceptional times, folks. Exceptional haircuts. Done by myself. Now, I'm just lifting this, not to scare you, but I'm turning the page just to let you hear this other tune. Now, I have to say, I can play all these tunes without music, but I usually put the music up because I want to play what I'm kind of hoping folk will play along with. There's no point in me playing something different, by and large. So the next tune is a tune by William Marshall, without question one of the greatest composers of Scottish fiddle music. I mean, I would put him up there in the period amongst any traditional composers in the world. He would be able to hold his head up. He just for consistency of quality, William Marshall is really hard to beat. I don't think he hardly wrote a bad tune. And this is a lovely tune. Some of them are quite they're generally quite sophisticated. They're elegant. They have poise. A lot of the time, a lot of fire in the belly at the same time. Some of them are quite complex and tricky. Others are a bit more simple. But there's a genius in the simplicity. So the Duke of Gordon's Birthday would be like that. It's quite a simple tune, but it's got a beautiful melody. So this is nae too unlike that, but it is in one flat. So the keys maybe nae too comfy for Abdi. But I'll take it slow and we'll work our way through it, and I'll give you a few pointers. The first thing I'm going to say is, rather than playing an open A, I play a unison, so you get this feel. So much more full-bodied, and in the terms of the terminology of some of the old boys that I grew up playing, it gives it a bit of gur. Now, gur isn't a word you'll find really in any English dictionary, but it's actually a proper Scots word, and gur means with fire and force, and I think that really vocally it captures the feel that you're going for. So it's a great word. So play it with gur, and that, rather than an open A, it gives you that accent. Okay, rather than. Okay, so I'll play it through once and then I'll take it slowly. See how we get on. So that's pretty much how I play it. It's slightly different in the notation here, and I think sometimes if I get familiar with a tune, I begin to express it my own way a little bit. So the first thing you'll notice is the first bar, how I play it, the note values are different. I've switched them a wee bit, and there's also there's nae a unison notated, and that's one of these things. I would play that without question. We a unison. I wouldn't even think about it. This is one of the difficult things about playing traditional music from the manuscript without having any prior knowledge about the tradition, because there's so much of the character of the music that is not on the music. Does that make sense? I hope so. So you miss things like. Now I'm playing that first two notes in the first bar with a snap, opposite to the way it's written. So I'd like you to play it that way as well. So. Okay, so that's without any fluff around about it, any unisons and drones and things that I put in just to get a wee bit of gore. So we'll go back there. It's in one flat, but it's a beautiful tune. I love it. It's lovely, elegant bit of music. Invercald is up near Braemar. So if you've been to Scotland and you've been to the Highlands or the Cairngorms, Braemar would be reasonably familiar. Most folk think of it in terms of the Braemar Highland Gathering, the oldest Highland Gathering in the world. So it's a big deal. I mean, there's only about 400 folk biding the tune permanently. Although with the Fife Arms reopening, I think they've got something like 70 staff working there. So they've got folk from about 14 different countries working in that hotel. So that's, if you think there's only 400 folk in the village, some of them are working. There's at least 50 folk who've moved in, so it's quite a big thing. But even though, let's just cut 500. We'll round it up. 500 folk in the village. On Games Day, I think the record attendance at Braemar Gathering was 23,000 folk. Somebody will probably be able to find out an accurate figure, but generally 19,000 on a good day, 20,000, that's still an awful lot of folk to descend in that wee place. So the games, because the Queen goes, since Queen Victoria's time, she goes up to the Braemar Gathering fae Balmoral, which is just a wee bit further up the River Dee. So for most folk, that's for you leave Deeside, you hero of the hills to Blairgowrie and Perthshire. So beautiful countryside up there, and Invercald House, that's the hereditary home of the Fachersons. And the chief of the Fachersons got his house there, although it's got a long-term lease to Ivan Worth, who's a top art dealer guy, and he owns the Fife Arms. But it's a beautiful bit of the world. So Miss Facherson Invercald, if you're in the house there, actually her painting is up on the wall, which is quite a nice thing to see. So I'm going to go through this a couple times again, nice and slow. Watch your tuning as usual. Got to be in tune regardless of style of music. So, for the top, nice and slow. And try and play that unison if you can. The unison itself thickens it up, but the grace note, that third finger onto the fourth, I mean, it's pretty nasty. But because it's a grace note, it's quick, okay? You didn't linger. Your ear picks that up. Nae nice, but gives it accent. Okay, so that adds a lot to the music quite easily, but you have got to get your hand right under, and the fourth is going to be pressing down on the string. If you play with your hand collapsed like that, what will happen is that fourth finger will dampen the open string. You just kind of play it. So some of these traditional things, you need a fairly good technique to be able to execute them, because there's no way you can play that with your hand flat. Just, well, very difficult, I'll say. So you need to get your hand right under, elbow right under the fiddle. Okay, unison to start. 2, 3. There's a turn there. So a couple of things there. You'll probably have noticed the last note I change. It just kind of resolves better when you play the second finger on the D, F sharp, rather than playing that G. It finishes the tune out more nicely, I think, anyway, if that is indeed how you're finishing the tune. I've got updriven bows in there. They add a lot of character to the music. Down, it's like a development of snap bowing. So that's the first bit. Snaps, always play snap. It sounds obvious, but yeah, it's really nice sometimes if you hear them. Snap, then you add on the next note. Now in this case, it's 2/3 fingers, 2 G's. If you you play them without splitting them up, they sound like one note. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 2 notes, so that hence the staccato. And then lift between the second and third. That third up is caught right at the heel, and it really bites in at the heel. It's like this. So this lift is what gives it gives lift to the music, and I think that's why you play it. It takes a bit of practice, but it adds something to music that you cannot get by bowing it any other way. There's other ways you can bow that, for instance. None of that feels like this. You get the idea? Sorry, Shona's waving at me. Somebody's got a message or a question.
Why no snaps in bar 4 and 8? I'd be inclined to shorten the Fs, Alec Monaghan says.
4 and... So that's obviously the last bar in the first measure.
Why no snaps there?
You would need to ask Mr. Marshall. Sometimes... Sorry, what was that, Shona?
No, I'm just saying, he's saying he'd be inclined to shorten the Fs.
Yeah.
It's personal.
Yeah, that's personal taste. Just in the same way, for artistic reasons, I prefer it. I play a snap at the beginning that's not notated, but I do play it that way, and I think it's fine as a contrast. There's some of the sneakier pipe marches that it often doesn't go where you expect in measures. You get a sort of rhythmic motif that comes through quite a lot, and if you're not paying attention, you'll completely miss how it should go because you're assuming something, but they often put in a cheeky wee change, a note value, kind of put the long notes instead of the snappier notes, and it'll catch you out. And a lot of folk really wouldn't notice, but if you're a real authority on the music, especially for competition in the piping world, they'll pick it up really. They'll be looking for that sort of little man traps or woman traps, whatever you want to call them. So play this once again. But why no snaps there? I can't really say. That's how he felt it. He wrote it, so it's entirely up to him. But I just play it that way. But at the beginning, I just like that. And I got into the habit probably accidentally. So it's not really a big thing, but now that's how I play it, and I like it that way. And it does tend to happen. I think it's good to put your own interpretation onto music, rather than being totally bound by what's on the page. I mean, if I'm bowing tunes, I just would change every tune that I notate for my pupils for the copy that's in front of me. But there are limits for it. It becomes something different. You're messing about with somebody else's vision. So I didn't tend to stray too far, but how I express it's pretty much did myself. So let's go. Back to the beginning, twice through. I'm going to pick it up the second time a little bit, so hang on in there. Okay, with Gar, but elegance. Tune that. Some folk would maybe be inclined to avoid it because of the keys. Some folk just didn't like playing with flat keys because they're a wee bit awkward. I'll be honest today. I'm really feeling my hands and my arms because on Monday I weeded in the garden. Got a garden full of vegetables now, which I have created myself. But I spent a whole afternoon going like this, pulling out weeds. And as a result, yesterday I found it right up my forearm, that repetitive strain. You could tell I haven't been weeding very much for quite a while, but I'm finding my arms really stiff. And actually, when you play and stuff with flat keys, I find that you feel the tendons and the muscles complaining a little bit more until you're properly warmed up. So anyway, Miss Fuckers in it Invercalled. Beautiful tune, well worth having a go at. So I'm going to finish with a reel now, another local tune. This is a tune by James Scott Skinner, and this is called The Mains of Gartley. Now, Gartley, the village it's there, it really grew up around the fact that the rail line come up there to Huntly, and there was a stop there, so it kind of grew up a bit like their Finns on D side. It really only grew up because there was a rail stop. So otherwise, Gartley was kind of more of a district at the time. Gartley Kirk, Gartley Church, for instance, is actually about a mile and a half from the actual village. Yeah. So Gartley it's really an area quite near to Huntly, very near to Huntly actually. And the mains of Gartley, some of the last corners as you're coming up to Huntly, I suppose you're about a mile and a half of the village. The mains of Gartley is up a wee road, and it's quite hard to see. There's some houses at the roadside, but the mains of Gartley is just up off the road, and this is the place that inspired the tune. Now, Mains is a very common name for a farm in the northeast of Scotland. In fact, right down the east coast, although further south, it's often, if it's Gartley, it's Gartley Mains. The mains would come at the end. The northeast, it tends to be the mains off. Now, I bide in a farm called the Mains of Kincraigie, and Mains, it would be the sort of main farm in an estate, often the best land, and it's also it's a kind of corruption of the French word. Is it demesne? And it means the main portion of land attached to a big house. So it was often the most important farm in an area, but it's the Mains of Gartley. Okay, so I'll play it through for you. Knowing that doesn't really help the tune much, but it's maybe interesting for some folk. So here we go. I'll play it through steady. I'm going to get a crack through it at full speed. Okay, so I'm well aware this is nae the easiest tune to play. It's a great tune, I have to say. I really like it. It's very distinctive. It's quite contemporary for a tune that was written in the Victorian period. But there are a few things to watch out for. I mean, there's the third bar in the tune. You've got the third finger in the A, the D sharp, and then it goes to a D natural just 2 notes later. So your third finger has to move about within a bar. Things like that. There's birls in the second half. They have their own kind of rhythmic issues, and there's crossing strings, so there's quite a lot to look at. Certainly in some of these bars, the second half, you've got to cross for the E string, you go for the A string to the D, up to the E string, and then back to the D. That's quite a big jump on a fiddle, because you've got to completely miss the A string twice. So you've got this birl at the start. Now that's quite tricky, that takes a wee bit of work. However, no reason not to try it. So we'll take it very, very slow. Because we're going slowly, got time to pick it up, use plenty of bow. Okay, so it's a great tune. Before we play it, generally speaking, I mean, I always play this. I play it with a brig of Petar. It's almost one of these things, it's like north of the Grampians and the Haggis, they go really well together. Whether they were written to go together, I've no idea, but in the Scottish Violinist, Skinner's book, they are beside each other. So that's maybe why they've landed being there. They're both in G as well, so. And it goes. They go really well. So let's wind it back and play very, very slowly. for a fiddler, it's a bit like a tongue twister. It's a wee bit awkward. It's a bit tricky and coarse to play, but it's a great tune. I really like it. That's why I picked it. So some of you might ken it, but let's play it again. I'm going to pull it back a little bit more because there are some tricky bits. Second half especially, it's got a lot going on. And things with the pitch. Third fingers moving about in the third bar. So nice and slow. Nice big bows. We're going slowly, so use a bit more, try and generate some volume. We're not playing through PA systems here. We're generating the tone ourselves. Yep. You've paid for a whole bow, you may as well use it. So, right. 2, 3. Pick it up once more, double that speed, okay. Tune. Skinner wrote some fantastic stuff. There's a few of his reels that are not quite so well kent. I played a few of them was it last week I played them? No, 2 weeks ago. Or did I? No, I can't remember it was. I was going to play them at the concert on Friday. There's a set of, they're kind of quite quirky. Who Dinna You Play Mayor, which is for the same collection, the Logie collection. Kearney's Canter. tunes. That tune is John Brown. Nae so well Kent, but that's John Brown. Same John Brown that Billy Connolly played in the movie. The real John Brown came from Balmoral, the estate of Balmoral, or Crathy. He was the kind of local man there. So there you go, folks. I hope that's been interesting if you're still there. Nice to see a few folk looking in. Be back next week. It'll probably be a bit more like this rather than just slow airs or just this phase. It'll be just a variety of tunes that tick my fancy, and we'll work through them in much the same way. And if I've got any background or technical things, I will add them into the mix. So thanks for looking in. If you wanted to bung in anything in the tip jar, it's certainly nae asked for. Well, maybe that's what I'm doing. If you want to, it's www.paypal.me/Paul Anderson Shona Dawn. If you want to, that'd be grand, but then I feel you have to, because obviously you will or you want it, but you didn't have to. That's not why we're doing this. We'll be back on Friday. We've got our Live for the Lounge concert that we do every Friday night. This will be number 11. I'm going bonkers. Well, yeah, it's actually fine. We've got lots of space here and fine big garden, and can I play the fiddle to keep me sane? So thanks for looking in, and we'll see you next week. But if you're looking on Friday, you'll see some fun and games. So you'll have Shona singing as well, hopefully, and I'll try and play some totally different tunes, but we may play some of the tunes I worked on tonight. Okay, thanks very much, folks. Over and out. Will I have the same hairstyle on Friday? Look in to find the answer.